It's 6 o'clock. My watch says it's not quite there, so I hear back all this meeting for meeting on third day of October, day of the now. We have a set of minutes in front of us. The chair will entertain a motion on the minute.
Make a motion that they be accepted.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Have a second.
Yeah,
All
those
in
minutes.
favor? Any, I'm sorry. Any discussion? All those say aye. Anybody from the public want to make any comments? No public people here, so we'll pass on that one. We do have an agenda. So, with all that said, I want to start by telling the story.
It's about that.
We had, I had a meeting with Lance Allen, and that's the reason he's here. We subsequently had a second meeting, we had a judge at judge office. And then we've had two, I guess you call them tertiary meetings here in finance with Aaron and the insurance staff. And at that point in time, Paul got pulled into it, and we were looking at a possible problem and a possible solution to a situation in County government. Lance, I'm gonna try to paint this about the film. Let's hypothetically say of a person that came to work at the sheriff's department or a department when he was 25 years old. You know his name. And now 55, his wife's 50. And he wants to retire, go work at Amazon, they pay more, but he can't retire because if he retires, he was on the family plan. If he retires, he got insurance for life, but his wife doesn't have any insurance, so he's going to have to buy a real expensive Cobra to give her insurance so she gets from 50 to 65. It's all half over here, okay? Half separate. So we were looking at some way he wants to retire. And if he did retire, what's the same as the thing? Well, if he's been 30 years service, he'd get $100 a year, so he'd get $3,000 a year, longevity pay. And if it's 10 people out there, that's $30,000. That could probably go back to help the insurance fund or something. And if there was a less expensive insurance that the retiree could get for spouse, that a different plan, it would be totally paid for by the retiree, not pay any money out of the county, cost whatsoever. That would somehow give him the ability to leave the department, whatever department, and take his retirement, have a better insurance plan for the spouse, and at the same time, that would be stopping what we call the military, the aging of the force. So you've got a 55-year-old guy, still got real good insurance way back when. And he leaves, and somebody else steps up in his position, he's probably got 25 years, and they would have to hire somebody at the bottom rung on the left here. So one, we got to save his salary, two, we got to save his in fact he's on insurance, whatever. I've been doing this a long time, I don't know what tier we're on, tier 3, whatever. We threw two of them out, and renumbered them a couple years ago. But anyway, he'll be on the new tier, which again saves us money. So with that said, we started kicking it around, how can we provide a service to our retired employees to help them and their, not necessarily help them, but help the spouse that he has to pay a whole lot of insurance for. Is it possible to create a plan for a number of spouses and in doing so, encourage some of the older employees to go in and take their retirement. See, I'm not screwed, you to go home, take their retirement and go to work for Amazon and the security gate, and that plus retirement would increase their net income. So with that said, I want to defer to Lance Howell to kind of jump in here and share any other thing that you might have, since you're a student in the plan and student employees. Then we're going to ask Judd to jump in. Sure, absolutely, come to the table.
Like to look at everybody. So I guess it started with some discussions of other employees throughout the county. And several of them talking about, well, I'd love to retire, I've got 30 years, 32 years, 35, but I can't afford it. And so,
Why can't you afford it?
because of the insurance for their spouse. County's gonna pay, every one of these people that I'm talking about within county government fall in that, if they leave, they're under the plan where the county's gonna cover them until 60, whatever, 65, 62, and then pick the supplement out after that, because we fall in that tier. So county's gonna be paying that regardless whether they retire or not. If they retire, there's an advantage there that Commissioner Chairman's already mentioned, but they were pricing different plans, and I think the cheapest one I heard was $900, very similar to the Cobra plan. Most of the employees that I've discussed it with, and there's only a handful, but there's a pretty good handful, that said that would be a great option because I don't want to retire and just not do anything, but I may go somewhere where I could get out of law enforcement, get out of Winglet, get out of the wherever.
Road department?
Yeah, any department, and maybe go to work somewhere else part-time, and at least two of them told me I go to work here and they're going to supply me my insurance. So I thought, okay, but what about your spouse? And well, I don't know if I can have my spouse on because I'd have to pay for that. I said, okay, again, not knowing all the costs, there's a lot of what ifs there. So I brought that to Jerry as being the chairman of the insurance committee and just said, hey, back several years ago, you mentioned talking about new plans, which y'all look at all the time, looking way to enhance some benefits and save money. So I sat down and started putting pencil paper and started looking at the different options and thinking about a retiree, longevity pay, matching amounts of retirement the county's required to pay, the matching Social Security, Medicare, retirement, all that. The higher the salary, the more matching the county has. Take them off of that role, then bring in somebody at a lower rate based on the new county's pay plan or step plan. There would be some savings there. The question was, during conversations, is that savings a wash? Where's those savings? I don't know that you would know in the first year because you don't have anybody take advantage if y'all consider the plan passed it. But just looking at the front end, and I'll defer back to the chairman, and I know the finance director, and I know y'all may have questions. There's probably a lot of questions, but I think there's a lot of advantages, a lot of positives to somebody that maybe could retire, that wanted to retire, that is not retiring. So that's what I know.
Now, what ages are we talking about the employee retirement? Is it 55 or is it, is that the?
It would depend under the plan that they're working under. So if you are the,
Alex got some of that.
if you're the oldest here now, you need 10 years of service, the last 8 of which are consecutive, and age 55. If
So
you-
age 55 would be the.
That's the old,
minimum.
that's the minimum. There's a lot of people now, if you're hired after 1/1/16, it's 20 years and age 60. So, or 30 years at any age. So if you start here at 20 and you put in 30 years at 50,
Right, that's
you're
what- so-
you're covered.
And- I'm sorry, and the insurance we give now is for the retiree
Only.
until he's 65, then we buy the supplement.
Correct.
After 65.
Correct.
Is it true, Holly, we have an employee, probably in the road department, that's like 80 years old? He's an old fellow. Okay.
Is married, and is married?
I don't know his status, I'm not gonna ask.
What is
But-
the
But
chances
He needs to
of,
retire,
the county adopting or looking at, for law enforcement, first responders, an age or year requirement? Has that been looked at, been discussed? I know the state's adopted what they're doing, and I think we could look at doing that, and that could affect things because it would force people out in a way.
It could, yes.
What we're talking about is a new and separate plan that the employee retiree will pay for in toto. It won't be any county appropriation for it. And we're trying to get it so it is one's a wash or close to a wash if you can, but it's to provide us. Kind of guy's been here 20 years or 30 years, you know, we need to do something to help him out if we can, to help him get, so what we basically had, Paul, you and Judd need to move on up this way. What we asked them is to look at how they can have or we can have a plan that they can design, that somebody can get in at a $3,000 deductible and a $600 or $6,500 up a little higher cost, a little lower cost, based on, something to cover the spouse. So Judd, if you will jump
Before
in
you,
here.
I have a question.
Sure.
Do we not have an employee or a former employee right now, I know that likes to come up and hand a paycheck or hand a check for insurance for his spouse, directly to insurance? What is that payment for?
For the spouse's supplement and the dental and the prescription coverage
So we already offer something for spouses
over 65.
over 65.
Mhm.
It's that from that, then it would be that gap until they hit 65.
The Cigna that we have now that all employees have, that would be what a spouse would have to be on if they're not 65.
Okay.
So what we've done before this meeting, this is an education meeting, is ask Judd and Paul to look at creating something that the retiree can buy to cover his spouse until such time that she reaches, that magic age. So let's just jump in here, Judd, if you will.
I'll take
and
one of those.
Share your
Pass it around.
handouts and
Sure.
we're trying to provide a service for those and help people, as you say, down, go to house. So, push back the door.
In my mind, it's something, it's still, and you'll see the rates here that we've come up with, and Paul and I can discuss how we came up with the rates for this, but like Jerry said, it would be cost neutral or as close to it as possible, but it does come out a little more affordable than just paying that straight Cobra rate that's in place today.
Because we got a group, and more people can get on the group once they're educated, hopefully.
Yes. And so this is a different plan design. And to back up what Lance said, we're talking about possibly a handful of people utilizing this. So we really don't know. Over time, it could grow. But what we thought about doing was offering two plans, both true high deductible health plans. Okay? So you would have a base plan and then a buy-up. The base plan is a true high deductible health plan with a $6,000 deductible for the individual. It's times two if they had a dependent. If you're looking at this sheet here,
Well, which one is it?
we're looking at these blocks down here in the bottom
Right.
center. And the rates are in the green highlighted areas. Okay? So you'll see LCP 6000 HDHP. That would be the base plan. The employee only or spouse only. And what we've put here is Cobra spouse. It would be $441 a month. And if they had a dependent, either one, two, or three dependents, that rate would be $735.59 a month. And just to talk about a high deductible health plan, and there may be some of y'all familiar with them, so forgive me if I'm telling you something you already know, but basically, until you reach that deductible, there's, all the cost goes on the person that's insured. And once you hit that deductible, then you go into 70% co-insurance until you reach your max out of pocket.
What would be the max out of pocket? Is
That's
that like a 13,000 or
Let me look and see, I've got it on my phone here, so 70% up to, in-network out-of-pocket of $10,000.
okay.
then it's 100%. Prescriptions,
Yeah.
everything.
That's right. That's how a high deductible plan works. So, and they would have the option to buy up to a $3,500 deductible plan. Of course, the rates for that do jump. You're looking at $596.10 for an individual, or $994 for a family.
Now, John, I have a question on the monthly. Does that monthly mean they have a family? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
So
If they were.
The monthly is not really the monthly, the employee only is the monthly, right?
Well, both of those rates are monthly, so if it was employee only, it would be, if we're looking at this LCP 3500
Right.
HDHP, monthly, if it was the spouse only, it'd be $596.10 a month. And
That's
it's
what I
gonna be
mean.
rare that any of these folks would have a dependent,
That's
but
what
they
I
may.
mean. They might, but,
And if they did, then it would be $994.30 a month.
right.
And the retiree has already got county insurance,
Correct.
and we're just trying to make something that's possibly available to his spouse that's reasonable and affordable
This
as a
is,
service to them.
yes, sir.
The question, so you're saying the employee only plus the family would be $1,590 a month?
No,
Or it's
no,
just,
no,
No,
that's-
sir.
it's
that's
either
two
one or
people.
the other?
Two separate brackets, yes, one or the
I
other.
think what's confusing is if you added the spouse only and the family together, it comes out to that monthly fee.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's just
$15.
because, that's assuming
Right.
two people, one individual
Right.
enrolled and one with a spouse. That's,
So it's
that's
either or.
monthly money coming to you,
So it's either one or the other?
Mhm,
yeah.
mhm,
Okay, so I got,
Yeah,
okay,
And
and
this-
and who
this
would
big-
pay that? Who would pay that amount?
the covered
The
person.
retiree.
The covered spouse or the
Yes.
covered retiree?
Yes,
And the retiree could retire, they'd have medical,
mhm,
and if the spouse was only there, it'd be about $600 a month to have that insurance,
correct.
which $3,500 deductible,
Yes.
okay?
Paul, jump in here and help us, we got some questions coming up here.
Come on, bring them.
Well, John's exactly right, 3,500 equals almost 605,
600 a month
596.
for the employee's spouse,
Yes,
okay? And no money would come out of our budget, is that correct or no?
Correct.
correct. I mean, there is a potential if that person, but then stop loss comes into play, and that would also be in effect here. You've got individual stop loss with a $320,000
Correct.
pooling level. So that comes into play on these, which is a stop guard
Right.
for.
Is it still with the individual stop loss
Yeah.
as
Yes,
well
sir.
as the county stop loss?
Yes, sir.
Well, yeah, just to be sure we're all on the same page, this is not a fully insured product. This is still part of our self-insured.
That's what I mean, so
So,
if
yes.
we did this and the spouse got it for around 600 a month and they had some major health issues, we would pay the bill, correct, or no? I mean, the
Yes.
county would
No.
pay the bill,
Yes, all the claims funnel through the same
insurance fund,
insurance fund. They're just paying monthly into it,
right,
by these premiums.
right, that's what I mean,
Yes.
so we would pay it out of our self-insurance fund.
It would work the same way as the plans that are currently in place work.
But somebody could have $100 and somebody could have $1 million,
Exactly,
and we're on the hook for both.
Well, you're not on the hook for $1 million.
Stop
Well,
loss.
Yeah.
you get,
320.
right,
we have a stop loss
but we're at least
up to the stop
up
loss.
to $320,000 for somebody who's never been our employee.
I'm on the hook for that person in essence, and you'll hear me argue both sides of this at
Yeah.
different times, okay? But I'm on the hook for that person anyway. If they keep working for me, their own family coverage, I'm on the hook for them anyway. Now,
Okay.
if they leave and go somewhere where insurance is offered, he threw out the thing if they can go make more money at Amazon. Well, if they're offered coverage somewhere else, they have to take that coverage. That will not change. So, the only way that somebody's going to do this is if they wind up being self-employed or they wind up going to work somewhere that doesn't offer insurance. Because if they do offer insurance,
They gotta take it.
they gotta take it. But if they stay here, I got that person anyway, and I don't have the extra money coming in from the spousal plan to help offset the cost.
What if
you
I've
don't-
never had insurance with the county and I retire and I want my spouse to opt into this?
Good question.
Say the spouse works somewhere else and they provide the insurance.
Right now, we don't have anything that says the spouse has to take it. We have plenty of cases where the spouse is offered insurance elsewhere, wherever they work, and they are not required. to
Oh, I know that, but
take
some
it.
have, some do it.
But my spouse
Yes.
wants to retire.
I understand where you're coming from.
I want to retire.
Yeah,
My spouse won't have insurance. I might not have insurance, but we've never had the spouse covered.
right.
We never had the employee covered.
Right. So my question is, how does it work these days when we have somebody hit 65? Are they then eligible, if they have declined our insurance the whole time, are they then eligible for POMCO and the whole bit? Yep.
Yeah, they still get, but that's a supplement, correct?
Mhm.
They have Medicare plus, and we pay for the supplement.
Yeah, so you might want to put some rules around this that are a little
Yeah.
bit different in that
That's a
regard.
good point.
I'm
Yeah.
thinking age limit, age is, I mean, if I'm 65 and I'm married to a 45-year-old and say I retire and now she's gonna be on this insurance a long time till she gets to be 65. It may be okay, I don't know,
But two things are happening. One, we're getting savings because we got a new employee coming in at a lower level, plus a longevity savings. Plus, the employee who's now retired is paying.
no, I understand it's a dynamic
Right.
formula.
Mhm.
Things are changing at both ends.
Yeah. Then
And,
it-
and if they do not quit or retire, and we still have the spouse on the insurance, if they
Yeah.
buy the spousal insurance. They don't have to buy the spousal, but if they did,
Yep,
Are
jump in
they
here.
copies? Don't pay attention to the first page yet.
I think there's a lot to think about.
Oh, sure, and listen, I want to make sure, this is the first time this is all for discussion.
Yeah.
This is the first time we're introducing this to you as a concept. We've talked about it a couple of times and just come up with this to bring to you, so we can all discuss it. And, there's gonna be some really good questions and things I'm sure we haven't thought of. But like Aaron said too, we're looking at both sides of this, and this is just something that's, up for discussion.
Holly, you wanna jump in here?
We had also talked about only offering it to the people who are in the category 1, 2, and 3 that were hired before 1/1/16. So on that second sheet, that shows you how many people would be eligible for this plan. If we're just doing the ones before 1/1/16.
On the second sheet on what you handed out?
Uh-huh, the second sheet. So basically, if a retiree wanted to retire at age 55, there's 29 employees that could potentially want this spouse insurance. Age 56, and just kind of keep in mind, if they're 55, their spouse could potentially be on that plan for 10 years, and it just goes on. But that's how many, so it's not a big number, as far as who could retire today.
Will that grow over the years, I guess?
So like we have 179 employees hired before 1/1/2006, or 2016, that are between the ages of 27 and 49. So that, they would be eligible. We've got 51 that were hired before 1/1/16,
I don't
from
know.
50 to 53.
They went to house.
Started Amazon.
What we talked about was looking at it on a trial basis if we did it, where you did it for basically a 2-year period and then it
Yes.
would have to be renewed because, you know, there's no way to know how many of these people who are eligible would actually opt to take it. It's my belief that most people that walk into our insurance office and they want to discuss retirement, walk out saying, well, I can't afford it yet. And this is, in my mind, not going to change that. I don't think most people are going to be able to suddenly find that they are financially able to walk away from work at 55.
Unless they get a job somewhere else.
Amazon.
Yeah, and again, but if they do,
Right.
they're not my, so the best day of my life, other than when my children were born and when I, you know, so did I, the best day of my life is when somebody turns 65 and they get on Medicare. Right? Now, if they stay with me, so we have this problem, okay? I'm incentivizing somebody in a way to retire early. That may cost me some money. But if this guy stays with me till 70 or 75, and he's still working, we're still primary. And, you know, so if this spurs somebody to retire, I can't tell you if this saves me money or costs me money, okay, honestly. Nobody can.
And
We
look,
can't dictate the retirement age.
No.
They do in other
Right,
industries, I was,
Yeah.
kind of retired at a certain age.
it's basically a product that we can offer because of the services they have rendered. It has a little bit of incentive to say, hey, I think I can go ahead and retire now, baby.
and I'm also mindful, given the constraints of the labor force, even if I could put a mandatory retirement age or encourage people to, here's an early buyout, you know, given the shortage of qualified workers, I'm not sure I would want to do that anyway.
No, I understand,
Yeah, I'm just saying that from a cost standpoint, everything changes for us when that person goes on Medicare and POMCO.
Right.
Everything is a world better than when they're ours.
So what could this cost us though? Because we're in an insurance pool.
Mm-hmm.
If a premium's not paid, we're still paying, we've at least paid a premium that we may not recoup,
Mm-hmm.
more than one. So there is a downfall that we may
Right.
pay out a whole lot more money
Mhm.
than we're ever gonna get back.
Absolutely.
It's a possibility. That's what insurance is about.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's that's the thing, you know, here, but again, if that happens when somebody's 67 and they didn't retire, they would have retired at 63. I'm drawing a completely made-up scenario. They would have retired at 63 if they had had the opportunity with the spousal coverage, but they chose not to. Now they're at 67 with some sort of kidney transplant need that is, you know, going to cost a whole lot of money. Liver transplant, you know, name all the expensive procedures.
They're all expensive, trust me.
Yeah.
Is this automatic coverage though too? Like, since it's a group plan, it's, that they opt into it, then that we take them as, I mean, they're as fragile as they are. We're bringing them on.
Yeah.
And if it's offered, it's offered.
Yeah.
So somebody can take advantage of it. We can't say, no, we want you, but we don't want you.
There's
Right.
no question,
What
it's
we
not
talked
your health.
there's
what
no
we
doing
talked
that.
about is,
Do what?
There's no doing that
Right.
under any.
I know that. I
Yeah.
get that.
Yeah.
what we talked about, Commissioners, is kind of a beta test, a 2-year program. To see where we are at the end of 2 years, to offer this as a service, so the spouse can have insurance. And the employee can go ahead and retire if he wants to, but they have to come up here monthly and write a check, or mail a check, or whatever to go back into our.
So there's a
Right.
cost, there's administrative fee that we're paying our
Right.
people to administer the program, and I'm not against it, I'm just,
Yeah,
I don't want us to get in a position where we're here in a really tough position. We're talking about increasing rates, we're talking about, dipping into our general fund because of this, and that's,
Yep.
that's
And
my
we've-
reservation,
And we've done that before. We've gone-
but not under this.
Not under this, but we've done that in a normal situation.
Yes, we
A
did.
few years ago, we had to go to the general
Yeah.
fund for
But
over
I
a
think
million.
Lance had a statement or a question.
Most of the two. So,
I was just gonna comment that when we originally talked to the chairman about it, only spouses who were currently on the county's insurance plan would only be eligible for it. You couldn't add in somebody unless they were already in the plan, already in the Cigna plan, and that was, of course, that's up to y'all, it's not up to me, but I think that way, there's a little, because it's like Aaron said and the chairman, if they don't retire, you're covering them anyway, if they're already on the plan. So, it's already gonna come out of the pool. If they don't retire and they stay on the plan, you're gonna cover whatever their expenses.
How long are they on the plan? Forever?
Till they retire.
No, until they hit
65, and then they go to that
65.
other.
Even if the employee passes away,
They
they're
can
still
stay
on the
on it.
They
plan.
can stay on it as long as they purchase it.
Well, so, I think to be clear, and you correct me if I'm wrong, they're gonna have to pay the COBRA rate. If the employee passes
Yes.
away and the spouse is remaining, the spouse, under today's plan, the spouse is gonna have to pay the COBRA rate, which is how much?
987, I think,
But how much is the deductible on that?
whatever it was. Like it could be, in that group, it's
The
gonna be
deductible's
anywhere
gonna be a
from
lot lower.
300 to 600.
I'm sorry, if the, what I meant is, I retired and I passed away. I retired under insurance, I passed away. They're already on this plan.
Can they stay?
Can they stay?
Yes, if they adopted into this plan, then my understanding is they would stay and pay, they would have the higher deductibles, they would pay the premiums. You know, I don't know how long they would be eligible to stay on COBRA if they retired at 57 and,
I think it's, well, it depends on the circumstance. I
Yeah.
think death, it's 36 months.
36 months. Yeah.
Diane, now's your turn, dear.
I'd like to know what the employees think about it.
We ain't talking. about
Okay.
it. We have
No,
dreamed
this
this
is,
up.
this is
Yeah.
fledgling and.
I mean,
Yeah.
that needs to happen,
This is first discussion.
yeah,
Publicly.
doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it should have. I think it would be a very good idea to reach out to, I think, and I don't want to speak out of tongue, so don't take this the wrong way. I think if y'all are willing to entertain the idea, then I think polling the employees that are eligible under the, whatever rules y'all may want to think about, like Holly said, the tiers 1, 2, and 3, anybody hired prior to 2016.
Right.
Poll those employees, send them something and say, if this plan was offered, would it entice you to be interested and consider retirement? Or however y'all want to word it, I'm not putting.
Questionnaire.
That's true.
And,
Put it in a paycheck.
and then, gather the responses back and see, okay, we've got 5 people interested, we've got 50.
Yeah, yeah,
According to this, I don't think that you have 305, but I think if you look at the ones that are 55 to probably 60, and you put those numbers together, there's about 50 to 60 employees. I think that it's very possible that you could have about 30–40% of those that may consider it. Not saying for sure, because I hadn't told anybody other than 3 people.
Now, what happens if we offer it, you say, for those hired before 16? What about the people hired after that? We offer this plan for these people.
I
Would
don't,
we not be sued?
I don't think, I
I
mean,
mean,
that's
they
the
may
way the
not-
tiers are now.
Well, I know that, we've not run a lawsuit, say we offered these but not the other ones. Say you hired an older person and after this.
None of them would meet the requirements at this point. At
Well,
1/116,
well, yeah, but
after
eventually-
1/116, well, yeah, eventually, but we
Eventually they
don't,
will.
we don't have to keep the plan, is what I'm saying.
2-year program.
Yeah, you don't have to keep the program. I mean, look, anybody can sue anybody for anything.
Oh, I
But-
understand.
Government operates that way. There's a line in the sand all the time with the government.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, it used to be, you could retire and draw Social Security at an earlier age, and then they
Oh,
moved
yeah.
it back, and then
Oh,
they
yeah.
moved it back,
Yeah.
and so,
The difference being, in my mind, John, is that today we have people who are eligible, who meet the criteria if they are hired prior to 1/1/16. Nobody hired after 1/1/16 meets the
Right, I
criteria. They
understand.
haven't been here 20 years,
Right.
you know.
And I do think the people that are 55, between 55 and 60, unless they already have 30 years, they're probably not going to retire until they're fully they're fully at
Yes.
full age.
Yeah.
So it's either 30 years or age 60. So if someone is in that 2 and 3 category, if they retire at 55, their pension is gonna be reduced because they're not at full
Right.
retirement age. So when people come to me and say, hey, can you look up my retirement, when I pull it for them, it's not as much as what they thought it was if they retire early. So a
Right.
lot of them end up staying till they're 60 just so their retirement is not,
Just greater.
reduced.
All right.
My suspicion, and it's slightly different than, and maybe we may, at the end of the day, we may feel closer together on this than what it's gonna sound. But my suspicion is, of the 75 people that we're talking about who technically would be eligible, less than 10 of those will actually do it.
Really?
Well, maybe we should make it a certain age they can opt into this plan.
Right.
As an employee,
Yeah,
maybe 60 is the right amount, not 55.
yeah.
Maybe you have to be 60.
But you can't even
And you
draw
got-
social security till you're 62.
Right.
So you're talking about living on half of your income that you've been drawing from the county.
Right.
Or going somewhere else that does not offer insurance.
Right.
Because if they offer insurance, you're off our plan.
Yep.
Right.
So when it comes down to all the ifs, ands, or buts, the number of people that I think actually do it, very few.
Yeah. I'm
Oh, I
staying.
understand that. I'm not
staying.
saying that's not true.
You're
I'm
not
just
going to the
saying
house?
No.
maybe
Yeah.
we ought to make it, so if we do it, make it so you gotta be at least 60.
Yeah.
Or maybe even 62, because that's the way you get your social security plus you get your retirement.
Yeah.
How hard would it be to do a survey or a questionnaire or whatever of the eligible people in the here and now?
Well, we already know which people they are. We just have to
Send
type up
them
a
an
letter and
email.
mail it out. Now, whether they'll mail it back to us or do the survey, who knows?
Maybe a telephone survey.
Well, we're gonna be
If
doing
they're
open,
not-
we're gonna be
aren't that
doing
many, you
open
can do
enrollment soon,
October.
right?
That's
Where
true.
we'll be face to
That's a
face.
good time.
When is open enrollment?
This month.
November. We started the last week of October and all through November.
There you go.
That's a great time.
If we can get face to face with them and ask them the questions.
That information would be really good. I was gonna say, just plain devil's advocate, say that it's a lot more popular than what we think. Can we replace 70 people?
Oh, that's, again, I express the same concern. I mean, particularly if you're
You know, they
talking
all
about.
went to Amazon.
It's
uh,
hard to hire
We're short
people.
right now.
Which, again, it depends on where we're talking about losing them, but I mean, we're fully staffed in the jail for the first time in almost forever,
Apologize.
you know.
No, the uncertified is where we're struck, right there.
Okay, maybe we should do that survey, then reconvene after that's completed and reexamine it.
What's the will of the committee? Is that the will of the committee?
I'll make a motion, we do that.
Okay.
Tell us what you wanna do, John.
I said, let's do the survey,
Okay?
see what the response is, and bring it back to the committee after that survey's done.
Can you do it through,
That suits you.
when is it, November?
Last week of October,
yeah.
all of
Okay.
November.
We can do it and maybe meet November, December.
I mean, if we have the opportunity to, and I don't know this, y'all know better than me, if you guys have the opportunity to somehow or another get in front of these people before then, I just know open enrollment is when
Yeah.
we normally see every single person.
Well, it's closed in November and closes open enrollment. That's when I would think we'd have some data on what the wishes and the wills of the employees would be, would we not, Holly?
Mhm. I think so. We would just have to
And with-
identify which ones those are.
Yeah, you need to, I guess you need to come back with, yes, I'd like to retire, or I'm not sure, or heck no, I'm not going to. You know, that way you kind of know what their intent is, I guess what I'm saying. And based on the positive intent, we could kind of move forward with this.
And I would also ask to, just throwing this out, there's no need to survey the people till they have a spouse on the plan or independent, because it's a mood issue.
Right.
So really, there may not be that many,
That you have to
there
ask.
may not be 75.
Do we have anybody under this that's eligible with dependents? That has eligible dependents, I'm sorry. That-
There I wouldn't think so. I don't,
Well, I would be eligible, if I still worked here, I would be eligible, and my daughter's married, but she's 23.
Right. I
but you
think,
still have to be age 55 and have someone under 26.
Right.
At least age 55 and have.
And of course, I have 3 more years, but I would still fit that criteria.
Yeah.
with-
And there might be some, I
Yeah.
don't think, maybe, you can, you can probably count them on one hand.
So then, if the spouse and the dependent's eligible, then dependent automatically drops off at age 26. If it's a issue of a disability, they're probably on Medicare or Medicaid anyway. Okay.
You're covered it.
Okay, we got a motion, did we get a second? I'm like you.
I'll second.
Got a motion, got a second, that we're going to, that Holly and crew is gonna do a survey during open enrollment, of the number of people that might be interested or are gonna be interested, and then we'll come back together, at least early December and, or maybe close to the end of November, and, try to determine if this is a viable way to go or not. So is that the motion, John, pretty much?
Yes, that's it.
Okay. Any other discussion on it? Got a motion, second discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Is any other business to come before? Yes, sir. Question.
I know this, I'm quite positive we've talked about it in here, and I know I've talked about it with finance director. And I understand we don't have to bid our clinic because it is a professional service. But there are many times, and I'm sorry, insurance people, there's many times when we do bid things, somehow, some way, we get lower rates and lower premiums or lower cost. I would like for us to look into entertaining either an RFP or a bid type situation with our clinic.
Aaron and I have already talked about this, and I'm in agreement with you. My only stipulation would be that whoever manages it, whatever company it comes under, that we do not,
The employee,
the
they take the
employee-
employees on.
I'm sorry?
They would inherit the employees.
That's correct, because you have employee,
Yep.
nurse practitioner relationships that it took a long time to build.
I think we can write that in
Yeah.
in the bid or an RFP, however we want to do it, and we can reject it if we don't like it.
Yeah. What do you think it is?
When's it
Aaron?
coming due?
you know,
We've been with the same people, what, 7, 8 years now,
Yeah.
7 years?
I'd have to go back and look, but it's been quite a while.
And there's been some
Been longer
changes in
than
that as well.
There
I'll
has been some
remind
changes.
everybody that
There has been some, we redid,
overflow and,
Right.
we redid the contract a few years ago, I don't remember. We had an initial contract and then that contract was redone slightly.
Does it expire?
No,
No.
no, it doesn't expire.
So how
You know,
do
this is one of those things where I remind people quite often, and I'm not opposed to it. Everybody's gonna think by what I'm saying that I'm opposed to it, but let me tell you 2 things. When we had the previous people running the clinic, all I had all day long was complaints from employees, and I had a lot of people not using the clinic. And we decided at that point in time, because of the outcry and the complaints, it was decided that we needed to look at it. And even then, it scared me because I don't know any other way to speak than the way I speak, so I apologize in advance. I didn't think there was any way we were gonna stop people from complaining. Okay, so I thought, I'm giving people free medical care and they're complaining about it. Okay, so now I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna get somebody else to give them free medical care for them to complain about. Okay, and pretty soon the commission is gonna throw their hands up and go, why in the world should I do this if they're just gonna complain? So the clinic, I understand what a benefit it is, and I think a lot of our employees finally understand what a benefit it is. So I want to say this, that yes, low cost matters. Low cost is not the deciding factor for me on the clinic. You know, it is it's cheapest or best on everything we buy.
Absolutely.
And, you
Absolutely.
know,
And, it's not or,
it is or,
it's and.
it's or,
It's lowest
Cheapest and.
and best. It
okay.
is it is an and.
Well, lowest is not always
But
best.
Mike will tell you, we better go with lowest.
Yeah. Lowest
I
is
can
not
tell.
always best, but I've
Agree.
won that battle several times.
But we don't, but it's a professional service.
That's
You know,
right.
We don't
I
even
agree.
have to bid it.
That's correct.
So it doesn't matter, and
That's correct.
we can go back to the statute and.
But it's
and-
kind of funny, if, as we're talking about it, it's kind of funny, you know, if we're saying, I want exactly the same thing I have with exactly the same people I have.
Well, that's
I'll
one-
give you an
Wow.
example, Aaron,
Yeah,
and Judd may recall this. We bid our insurance at the school district.
yes,
Didn't have to, but we bid it.
yes,
Our yearly premium decreased over $200,000.
yes. Yeah,
Same company, same coverage, didn't
Yeah.
change providers,
yeah,
Increased,
and decreased.
decreased. Okay.
yeah,
It decreased
Okay.
over $200,000.
Yes.
Everything's the same, and we stay.
Well, they stayed with their current carrier, but they dropped their rate to meet my proposal.
That is true.
yeah. We do it every year,
What,
And so,
yeah.
what concerns me, there was, I don't know what you call it, just a handshake deal or what, with the existing providers that they would have telemedicine set up across town, and if there were too many people in the clinic, they could drive across town and see them in that particular professional's office, which is no longer in
No
existence.
longer there. Yep.
And I don't know what the status on telemedicine is now, or the visitation. Provider lives in Texas now, and they live here, so
Yeah.
that's.
But as far as the
That's an
employees
easy
there,
thing.
I'm 100% agreement that,
Pardon?
that they take on the current employees.
Yes, absolutely.
And that's not uncommon, that happens quite a bit, so,
Now, an employee over there may wish to leave, but they need to be offered to stay at the same rate and forever, because of the relationship between our employees and the.
Yeah, I mean, we
providers.
we can put it out for bid, it's not a problem. RFP, you know.
But you're right about the employees. Sometimes you get a new group coming in to run it, and there's some friction between who's there and who's gonna try to run it. And they have different ways in which they want you to do, different schedules, different this, and people would just, yeah, I'm done, I'm out of here.
After Aaron and I talked a month ago, I guess it was, things are running awfully smooth, and I don't know what a put out for bid would do to add any turmoil to that, or fear to the employees, or whatever, you know.
I think we're all tasked with
But
saving.
I think we are.
We
yes.
work for the taxpayers, and I don't want to put out if it's an inferior product, then we just reject it and we move on.
Is what we have inferior now? I don't know.
No, I
Because
don't think so.
Of course, I don't go there.
They're happy.
They're happy.
I think everybody's super happy.
Yeah, it's,
But it's cost.
it's at your committee, I'm simply giving caution,
I understand.
is all I'm giving.
But I don't care if you put Jesus over there to heal people. People are gonna walk out and complain.
You're right, you're not getting complaints
I
now.
don't disagree, but we have hardly none
I
at
agree.
the present time. You know, there was a time when it was
Bad.
really bad, you know. I have no problem putting it out for bid, none whatsoever. I wanna make that plain. You know, if we wanna put out an RFP and see who responds, I have no problem doing that. It's the instruction of this committee, whatever this
Now,
committee
what
decides
is
to do.
it that we're looking for in the RFP? Is it lower cost? Is it-
Well, they're already,
I forgot
so here's the
about that.
thing, it's like, it's like $22 or $23 per employee per month.
Yeah.
Y'all remember the figure?
think he-
22, 23 per employee per month?
It was 21, but I
It
think
would have
it's
better
gone up to
coverage
like
today.
23.
So it's like $23 per employee per month. Everything else, supplies, the pharmaceuticals that are handed out, those come through at cost. So
Okay.
they simply pass those through at whatever cost they pay.
Okay.
So,
So if we went out for an RFP, what would be shooting for? $20 per?
the only way you would save any money would be if somebody came in at a lower rate per employee per
Per
month,
employee.
or if they could beat what they can do, which would be shocking, but could be done. If they
Well-
could beat what they can do in terms of the drugs that they stock, you know, if they could
Yeah, I understand.
slower.
Well,
But I think there's a lot of metrics to look at,
Yes,
as well, not just, I mean, because somebody comes in at $10 an employee, but it may not be a good product either.
That goes back to where we started, yes.
Right, so I
Yes.
think that,
Right. My thing is that when I don't hear the outcry that I heard many years ago, then it just makes me nervous, because again, I don't want us to be, I don't think a lot of people even today realize what a great benefit that is. They just always have had it. They've always had it, and to a degree, when you've always had something, you can take it for granted.
So,
You know.
what you're saying, if it's not broke, don't try to fix it.
That's it. You hit it on the head right there.
But again,
I mean,
you don't, just because you go out, just because you do an RFP, does not mean you have to make a change.
I understand.
If you wanted to do it, it could be done.
In your estimation, you know how much we're paying a year now, in your estimation, how much could the county save without dipping into service to our employees? Because if you say $25,000 to $50,000, it's not worth it, in my mind, to
I mean, I think that's in my mind.
disrupt the
First off, I want
relationship.
to disclaim and say that I'm no healthcare expert as far as where those savings might be. I think they would have to be in the pass-through cost. I think your $23 per employee per month, that pays your salaries for your staff over
Right,
there, which
right.
we've already said they need to be the same. You know, that also is, to some degree, there's the practitioner who's gonna get paid out of that, whoever's, because there's a certain number of those files that have to be reviewed. The practitioner
Right,
has to review
right.
those files. So the administrative cost of the clinic and the employees, I don't think, I mean, you know, I would not think that you would save more than what you mentioned, Jerry, 25 to 50,000. That would have to be a combination of them dropping down from $23 per employee per month to $22.50 or 22 or whatever, and then on top of that, they would have to be able to save a little bit of money, or at least not have increases in the prescription drug side of things.
When he and I talked, I really got scared raising the issue, because
Well-
it's their profit.
but we can reject anything.
That's right, that's right.
And I know we're being videoed and anybody can watch this, but
Yeah.
the same company could come in with a cheaper price.
Just like your
Correct.
insurance.
And we're not changing anything, but we're saving $10,000. Well, we'll take that bid.
Another thing you gotta realize too is the inflation is going out off the wall. So,
Yeah.
I mean, and the people that work there, I don't know if they're getting pay raises or whatever, but all I'm saying is, everything costs more.
But,
If we go out for an RFP, it may be,
Thanks, Lance.
like you say, we don't have to take it.
right,
If they come in for more,
yeah.
they come in $25 per employee.
Yeah, if they're feeling pressure, I mean, you would see them coming with a new proposal, look, instead of the 23 per
Exactly.
employee per month, we're gonna have to
And
go to
And there might not
24,
be anybody
25.
else
Right, we
wanting
don't
to
know.
look at it.
We don't know.
And maybe they
Right.
will come and say, look, 23 is not doing it, we need 23.50 or 24.50.
Right.
Thanks, sir. You wanna put anything on the table, or just take it under advisement?
I make a motion that we either put out a bid or an RFP, same thing, and see what we get for the clinic. And
As long as it stays the same thing for the employees and medicine.
and I think that, you're right.
I'll get one drafted, y'all have to vote first, I'm sorry.
And then it would be the will of the committee. I think it'd be brought back to the committee
Yes.
on whether to accept it or reject it. And so, well, how do we lose? So
Well,
my motion would be that we go ahead and put the clinic out for bid, and which part of that bid would include no change in drug coverages, prescriptions, and staff.
And services rendered to our employees. So we have a motion on the table? Do we have a second?
Oh, I'll second it.
We have a motion and, I'll second it.
Poor Kurt, I won't have him out.
Any other discussion?
Then when we do this, how will that affect the people that are running now? What kind of message are we sending to them, in your estimation?
I mean, I think you know when you do business with the government, this is,
This is,
Normal procedure.
no, I
yeah.
just want, I don't know.
I mean, I hope, that we've always had a very positive working relationship with the people that run that
wanna
clinic.
keep
I would
it.
expect that would continue.
Okay.
You know, are they gonna jump up and down with joy that, you know, no, but they'll be okay.
Will you, through some mechanism, assure them that their job is not in jeopardy,
I
no
will,
matter which way we go?
I will.
They can continue to march, so to speak, so.
Yeah, just to make sure that we
And
don't
then-
have any interruption just because we're doing this.
This is just a requirement of government. Do we have any other discussion matters on this? Don't have more discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any nays?
Nay.
Aye. Do one nay? Okay, we have one nay.
I will get an
All
RFP
in favor?
drafted and bring it back to another meeting or send it out for you guys to approve, however you wanna look at it.
Anything else to bring forward committee? Anybody? We have a motion?
Did you?
Motion adjourned.